Good afternoon.
Everybody knows that the day is so loaded.
It's 2:32 in the PM, and you are tuned into The Last Page with Tim Page. I'm your host, Tim Page. Yeah. Remember that movie, Pump Up the Volume with Christian Slater? That was the theme music that he always used to use. And I loved that movie when I was a teenager. I really related to that, So, yeah, it was kind of a shy misfit in high school. I think people thought they knew him, but really, deep inside, he was a charismatic individual. Just like me. And, I hope you'll find that too. I'm still honing my craft with this whole thing here. But, you gotta keep at it, right? Yeah, hone your craft all the time. Okay. All right. Now, today I want to talk about what happened in Tennessee, and a growing, this is almost a boiling point of some severe problems, underlying tensions, and I'm going to say epidemic of colossal proportions going on here in Western civilization that can lead to its collapse. The foundation has been broken and the pillars are crashing in. And in Tennessee, last week, there was a terrorist attack, political violence, shooting at a church that held a private school, Christian school, female struggling with gender dysphoria, identifying as male, took out her, assuming, I think, took out her hatred towards Christians. I don't believe the way that she does, and killed a bunch of children and was killed in the process. Almost a suicide attack. Apparently she knew she was going to die. And it's mad times we're living in. 100%. And a lot of the left-wing politicians and media and the transgenders, the GBLT community, it really shows the sickness going on there, because you really wasn't much emphasis on the attack on Christians, and especially the Christian children, but almost sympathy for this mentally ill young lady. And a lot of ways too, of course these are evil actions. This is a woman filled with hatred and evil and rage at a world, a reality that wasn't to her liking. It's almost a lashing out on reality. And those who say these beliefs that you have are not in reality. And I really believe there's a large complicity of the media that are pushing these lies, in the name of inclusivity and compassion, really encouraging this new theory, this new idea that men can become women and women can become men. And I'll tell you right now, it might not be a popular opinion, but it's not true. You can't do that. You know, when I was a kid, I can remember back to, I think I was in grade 2. I don't know why I would think about these things. I guess maybe I had a philosophical mind. My father was very into philosophy and he studied it. Maybe I inherited a lot of that, but I would wonder to myself, do you think like a person, say, who was a boy, could really be female but trapped in a man's body? And I think the answer that you would mostly get back in those days was, I don't know, maybe. There was no conclusive, set idea. It was kind of a mystery, I think now, as an adult, as you grow spiritually, and as I've grown learn about these things, the answer is no. Like, God created them male and female. If you're in a male body, your soul is male, and vice versa. God doesn't make mistakes in that. And I don't know when or how a lot of irreligious people, where, I don't know, some people just came to this conclusion that yes, you can. It's a fact now. But it's a real deception, because number one, I think there was a time where I might have had a more moderate libertarian approach, I guess, politically speaking, be like, of course, on minors, that's insane. It's wicked, but maybe I had a bit more of a libertarian viewpoint. If you're an adult or whatever, I guess so. Do what you want to do. It's a free country. Even though I don't believe it, I think they're wrong. But as I learn more about how they really don't know how to do this stuff properly. You'll hear a lot of people who went through these surgeries and the complications that they have, which are very high. They would say, I was never warned about this. I think there was a dude, I think he was from Alberta, and he got these sex change operations and is having massive, complications. I think he said he can't even feel anything down there anymore. But now, consequently, in Canada, they've legalized basically assisted suicide, another intrinsic evil. But now he is asking Canada to give him assisted suicide. But after hearing about those complications, even though I do think it's wrong, 100%, I was like, no, this not on minors, but it should be banned outright. Because number one, it is a lie. And a lot of people, it just can't be done. So enough with this freaking experimenting on people. This Nazi Germany, what was it, imperialistic Japan, human experimentation. It's a deception. Gender dysphoria has always been a mental illness. I think there were studies done that say children who have it, 92% of them, by the time they reach adulthood, grow out of it and become comfortable in their own skin. Real gender affirming care is getting treatment for this, learning people to become affirmed in the gender that God gave them, the body that they have. That's gender affirming care. The other is feeding into people's delusions and an inversion of God's beautiful creation. I'm kind of babbling on right now, but so yeah, there was this terrorist attack in Tennessee. Transgender female believing she is a man, went and killed a bunch of Christian children and school officials and was killed by the police. And the media seems to sympathize more with the terrorist. And I think a bunch of transgenders, they're wanting to do a day of vengeance on the weekend. And I think it got canceled probably because of so much outcry. It's hugely inappropriate, and it shows real sickness. Both of the media, like, honestly, it's an outrage, you know? But it got canceled because it's fucked up. 1,000,000%. You know, I can think of myself as a Christian, Catholic Christian. Number one, I haven't heard of any Christians going out and shooting transgenders of political violence. At that point, it doesn't exist. I think there was that one shooting at like a gay club where, you know, first the media tried to be like, oh, it's an attack on the GBLTs and all this. But they found out the shooter claimed to be non-binary. So all of a sudden you did not hear about that anymore in the media. They went silent because it went against their agenda, their narrative. But either way, I think the closest I can think of, there used to be bombers of abortion clinics. I think a few of those happened. And myself, if some Christian person did that, number one, I don't think they are really Christian, because I think if they met God, you know, if they had to go to judgment right away, they would be going down to hell. God does not, it's not something that gets you to heaven. So I would say a person who, if a Christian could do that, I would want to distance myself from that. Say that person was deranged, which they would be. Not be like, oh, the doctors, abortionists, or whatever, they deserved it. It's like, no, that's evil. I would distance myself from that. You know, compassion for anybody who would get murdered. I don't care what their political beliefs are, you know. What their sexuality is, you know. No one deserves to be like slaughtered like that. But the media is a bit different. They're sympathetic to the killer, the child killer, the political terrorist. And I think the Tennessee Tennessee legislator, their little building, there was a bit of an insurrection there. The GBLTs all like invaded there, kind of their own January 6th, except wait, you know, that was extremely violent. That the January 6th riot had nothing on these guys. And let me refer to my notes here. And it also came out just recently, another, you know, trans teen was just arrested for planning school shootings. And I think this man who wishes to identify as a female, William, who wishes to identify as Lily, you know, was arrested for planning some more attacks on Christians. Now you see, the media has been pushing lies that the transgenders are not safe. They are under attack. The Christians are a threat, an existential threat to their existence. And it's 100% bullshit, okay? It's a fucking lie. I think a lot of the things that made them push this narrative, which is to agitate, to divide and destroy, 100% was Michael Knowles, a political commentator. I think he said at some event, you know, the transgender ideology needs to be eradicated. You know, he didn't say transgender people. The ideology needs to be eradicated. And the media started pushing it as, oh, Michael Knowles is calling for the genocide of transgenders. And it's a knowing lie. They're knowingly lying. Because he didn't say that at all. He said the ideology needs to be eradicated. And it's true, 100%. Because it's a false ideology that's killing and hurting. Well, I don't know. Killing not yet, but it's hurting people suffering from gender dysphoria. And not only that, they want to experiment on kids of, these, medical procedures that don't work, have major complications. They don't work. They can't even do it properly. And they don't tell that to the people who want to get these things. It's a whole cash cow for, these surgeons. It's a total corruption and an intrinsic evil that they're pushing on vulnerable people, telling them they can change genders when they can't. Anyone changing their gender, they'll never be, some dude who wants to try to become, will never be a normal female. A normal person won't want to marry them. And it's saying a normal person. This person will never be able to have a family in the natural way of having a family, not a true family. You won't be able to have a normal life. You will never be a normal female. Never properly. You will have major problems. It's 100% lie and deception. And it is, it's a threat to vulnerable people. And it is an ideology that's dangerous and needs to be wiped out. And these people do need to have their gender affirmed in the gender that they are, that God gave them, to become comfortable in their own skin, not be hacked up and filled with hormones and just, it is an ideology that needs to be eradicated. Not for a genocide, to save the lives of people going through this. Dysphoria. And I have compassion for those people. Not only people who are truly struggling with gender dysphoria, but those who, through seeing the media pushing of this and celebrating, other vulnerable people who are confused or depressed and think this would be a great thing to try. And it's not. It destroys lives. And it's a fight against reality. And I'm not necessarily... there was a quote from Barack Obama that I liked, and he said, reality has a way of asserting itself. And this is, I don't necessarily think he's in touch with reality, because he actually, he's more sympathetic to the terrorist than the Christian children. He's more sympathetic to hacking people up and pushing this delusion than actual reality. But reality asserts itself. And these people can try to kill, hate, destroy those who are saying the honest truth, that you can't change genders. These people want to attack reality. But guess what? Reality always wins. But I'm not attacking transgenders. I'm not saying they don't exist. That's another weird little catchphrase they use. You're saying trans, that I don't exist. Obviously you exist. Like, obviously gender dysphoria exists. Obviously, a person trying to be another gender. You obviously exist. No one's saying you don't exist. So stop saying that. Like, that itself, it doesn't have basis in reality. But, I love and care for those people. And I don't think every single person who's struggling with this, and it's as crazy as a lot of these transgenders that all these activists, I'm sure a lot of people just want to be left alone and try to have a peaceful life. But either way, I think people need to be told this and help become comfortable with who they are. If you're a boy, if you were born a boy, you are a boy and will become a man. And vice versa. If you're struggling with confusion, like, people need help through that to be affirmed to overcome this illness, not be hacked up, be told, oh yeah, you can change your genders. That's not compassion. That's not love. You know, if you have a friend or loved one who's struggling with something, drug addiction or gambling, and you can see they're destroying their life, and you say, oh no, that's cool. Oh, you're smoking crack? That's cool. If it makes you happy, man. Like, no. A loving person says, dude, you're destroying yourself. You have to stop. Let me help you. Let me try to get you help. Not feeding into that person's delusion that it's a good life and that they're fine. But, I'm babbling on. I am. I had a whole bunch of stuff that I wanted to say. Okay, well, yeah, here's one point. A lot of, say Christian folks like myself and left-wing media will attack them and say the gay agenda. There is a gay agenda that can go back to the 1960s. I think there was some stuff from the Club of Rome and the Rockefellers, and I was trying to find those quotes, but could find from, there was a thing, the Jaffe Memo, which came from 1969. It was some correspondence among the Planned Parenthood, where, there is this strange superstition, pseudoscience that honestly has no reality in real science, of the world being overpopulated and all this kind of stuff. A lot of these crazy elites believe this stuff, and they're total weirdos. I can tell you that doesn't exist. We're having an underpopulation problem, but these people they're haters of humanity. But either way, there was a correspondence where they were talking about how can we stop population growth, and there was all kinds of ideas that they were throwing at each other, and a lot of things that are existing today. But one of them was encourage homosexuality. And I think that's where a lot of this media push comes from, the rainbows and the gay pride and the transgender, all pushing it, because especially, say, transgenderism, cross-dressing, and all this kind of thing, that is such a small part of the population, but the media is blowing it up, and it becomes kind of a trend, a self-perpetuating motion, to where others who might not even think about that kind of thing say, oh yeah, maybe I'll go and do that. But the media is really taking a small thing and giving it a loud megaphone, and of course the gay pride everywhere. Well, I'll tell you now, it's the Christians who are being persecuted, Religion is under attack. Like, people don't respect others' beliefs. But one of the things they said was, encourage homosexuality, promote homosexuality. And that's why a lot of that stuff's out there. They don't want people breeding. They don't want people making babies. So eventually it does, like I was saying, become a self-perpetuating thing. It can start with this promotion, this push, and then eventually it becomes a thing that people start, I don't know, people can be followers, and it spreads. And so there's other things too, talking about the breakdown of the family. Of course, there was no-fault divorce. Another interesting thing was in the Jaffe Memo. They talked about, where is it? I think they said, where'd it go? Oh, fertility control agents in the water supply. Now, this memo goes back to, I think, 1969, which is really when a lot of these elite steering committees, would throw about the ideas of pushing, let's say, homosexuality and promoting it as a great alternative lifestyle. Nowadays, there's been a lot of talk there's been studies done, it's been coming out, that birth control has been seeping into the water supply. I guess when, women on birth control, supposedly they're saying when they go to the bathroom and, it goes into the drainage, they can't filter that stuff out. The birth control's been coming into the water supply. And I remember there was a thing, a lot of people who, they'll make fun of, say, Alex Jones and a lot of things like Bush is this commentary was like, they're turning the frogs gay. And, they laugh at him, but what he was talking about was there's frogs and fish because of this birth control seeping into the water supply. Yeah, it was making them grow both sex organs. They were making turning the males into female fish. They were basically becoming intersex, and they don't know a lot now, but they're wondering how this affects humans. It's lowering men's testosterone, and it can affect, growing boys. It's feminizing the men, and also boys growing up, they can make many sterile, and it's affecting their development into men. And I guess obviously it would make both people more sterile. The men, low sperm counts, low testosterone. I guess the females, they're birth control, but they're saying they know it's affecting the fish. But they're also saying, excuse me while I refer to my notes, a lot of the symptoms that that would happen if males take these things are happening. Say the lowering of the sperm counts, the testosterone, lowered testosterone, I think increase in testicular cancer, infertility, and the gender dysphoria that's on the rise. I mean, people's hormones are off balance, and I don't know, they're getting this, their testosterone's been lowered, and this estrogen type thing, it can bring confusion. That's another thing. These hormones, if you're putting hormones into your body that aren't meant to be there in nature, in both females and males, it's going to offset your mental balance. And so, say this girl who shot this stuff up, I don't know. I think we don't know, but a lot of would assume if they're going through this transgender procedure, if she's being filled with male hormones, she might have not have been able to handle these things of the same manner that, say, men have to. She might have had this new aggression put into her, and because she wasn't meant to have that. But either way, I think the media has some complicity in this, both on the terrorists, but also this feeding into of the media. And I really think in the media there is a lot of agitation and attempts to divide and conquer. You can look back into 2020 when there was the Black Lives Matter riots and the Derek Chauvin trial. When they first showed those video clips, they only showed a little bit. Like even Fox News did that. They showed a tiny clip, and they almost put it as this cop, out of some kind of white supremacy, basically just snuffed this man out of racial hatred. When, when you look at the whole clip, it wasn't necessarily what was going on. And don't get me wrong, I think that Derek Chauvin was a complete dick. You know, I've dealt with cops like him, and he seemed like a total prick. I think he was probably guilty of negligent homicide, involuntary manslaughter. He was a fucking dick. Like, I think as soon as he saw that dude was OD'd, he should have, like, started doing CPR, but he was trying to power trip. The people are like, oh, this dude, like, he's not doing well. He looks like it's like, help him. And he seemed kind of like, oh, don't tell me what to do. Like, I'm a cop. Stop bossing me around. And it was total arrogance. And from what I understand, that dude was going to jail anyways. He had some sort of, I don't know, some kind of tax fraud thing, or I don't know if it was embezzlement, but he was facing big charges. Like, he was a corrupt cop anyways. But either way, when you look at the whole video footage, it wasn't some kind of weird, just a murder in the name of race. Number one, they had him in the cop car. The dude, he said he couldn't breathe in the cop car. He wanted to be out. He said, take me out of the cop car, put me on the ground outside. So they did that. And Derek Chauvin, he had his knee on him on a position that they trained them to do. He wasn't literally choking him. I think there was testimony in that. No, it wasn't. That thing wasn't cutting off his breathing. It was a thing to subdue him. And yeah, it wasn't choking him. And had him like that. But as soon as that dude, like, passed out, he should have gotten out of that position and started administering CPR or Narcan or any of that, like, right away, instead of being a fucking dick. So I don't think he was guilty of murder, but some kind of, yeah, negligent homicide, involuntary manslaughter. But either way, they showed a small clip and pushed a narrative that agitated the people. And a lot of that was a total psychological operation. That coronavirus, the pushing of the riots, the destroying the cities, that was a whole destabilization effort by people in power who want to destabilize Western civilization, to weaken the free countries, to bring in, yes, a globalist agenda. And it's not a conspiracy theory, it's a fact. And of course, one day, as I go ahead in this, I don't know, podcast type thing, we're going to talk more about that. But it's the same thing, the agitation that went on there. Because, yeah, on that point, there was another dude who got shot by the police, I don't know, a month or two later, and they said he was an unarmed black man. And they shot him, and he went into a coma. So that made more riots. And there was already word that came out that the media was lying. They're saying, no, he pulled a knife on him. The man grabbed a knife. Number one, he sexually assaulted, I guess, his ex-girlfriend. Apparently, they said he grabbed her, he digitally penetrated her, grabbed their kid. They were in some kind of custody battle. I can't remember. I think she had a restraining order, but kidnapped the kid, went and stole a car, drove off. The cops came after him. The dude reached for a knife, and he got shot. And, the media portrayed it, oh, it's an unarmed black man, more of these attacks, and all this kind of thing, which only agitated these riots even more. And when the dude came out of the coma, because there were, like I was saying, there's already reports that he grabbed a knife. The media said, no, he was unarmed. But when he came out of the coma, he confirmed. He said, yes, I was reaching for a knife. But the media lies. They want to agitate. They want to divide. They want to destroy the populace. So, I think it's the same thing going on here. And it's generating this kind of violence. And the ruling establishment the media, which pushes their agenda, they don't like Christians. We are the ones being marginalized. We are the ones under attack. Beliefs that go back to the history of humanity, the affirming of genders, the gift of sexuality from God, biblical truths. All of a sudden, if you say, these people want your life destroyed. And I think a lot of these people, and it's slowly creeping in, want to pass laws, like in increments, that if you speak biblical truths, such as these things being an abomination, that, turning to relations that are opposite of what God intended. It's an inversion of God's plan for us. If you speak these truths, even here on YouTube, I see that clearly, could, get a strike. But I think they're pushing ideas. You could be put in jail, charged with a hate crime. If you think it sounds crazy, there are people who are wanting to push that. Lawmakers, all that kind of thing. These activists, But no one's trying to put the transgenders in jail. No one's trying to put homosexuals in jail. But these people are marching to silence, impersonate, and obviously some want to kill a Christian, and have already, Christian people. So, but God be with us, and like Bob Dylan said, God is on our side, I pray that God blesses those struggling with this confusion, the confusion of our times. The people aren't getting the help that they're needing. They're being indoctrinated, lied to, and experimented on. Anyways, gosh, we're almost 40 minutes into this, and I hope you guys like my commentary. And happy Easter. This is the last page with Tim Page.